The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Hi, everybody.
Phil, I am so excited for today. I'm so excited.
Pumped up.
Why don't you...
It's award season, people.
It is award season. Phil, why don't you, for the very last time ever until next week when we do another movie, tell the good people what Project Melway is.
You mean Project Melway, brought to you by the Gibsonian Institute?
The very same.
The Gibsonian Institute, ladies and gentlemen, a shadowy cabal of the world's great leaders, secret underground organization, called Andy and I to task, tried to push us to the limits of our very being, and in fact succeeded in so doing. They tasked us with watching every single Mel Gibson movie in chronological order. Did we complete the task, Andy?
Sort of. We did, but he's not dead, so he will be releasing more movies.
It's true.
But
we've completed it to this point.
It's true. It's true.
And this coming weekend, as the Brits say, because they say it wrong, there's a film coming out by the name of Machete Kills, which is co-starring the Gib, the MG, sure, why not? And we will be seeing that and discussing it.
It's true.
But because really, the Mel Gibson, the Project Melway is not really a project that you can ever finish. It's, if anything, a project that finishes you.
Yeah, Phil. Basically, you can check it anytime you like, but you can never leave. You can never leave. No.
In Soviet Union, Project Melway finishes you. I was driving down the street of Los Angeles the other day, and I actually saw some theater. I don't remember which one it was. A small theater that was like, tonight, like one-man show, Yakov Smirnov. And I was like, sure. Hey, look, I have no ill will towards the man. I have no ill will towards him.
No, that wasn't. I guess that wasn't like a no. He's terrible. It was like, no, how the mighty have fallen, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, when I think of it as like, I didn't go to it, so, I mean.
Right.
None were harmed.
Indeed.
So here's the deal. So what we're going to do today is something so special, so extra special. This is a very special episode of Second Breakfast.
It's true.
If you are a fan of the Oscars, and really, let's be honest, who is? And if you're a fan of the Emmys and the Grammys and the Obies and the Tonys.
And the Cleos.
And the Video Music Awards. And the MTV Movie Awards.
ESPYs.
And the People's Choice Awards. And the ESPYs. I think what I'm saying is the world was ready for another awards show.
It's
and
true.
Guess what? Ladies and gentlemen, from the people who brought you Project Melway, namely the Gibsonian Institute and Second Breakfast.
Yeah, it's true. Yes.
Second Breakfast podcast.
Yes, it's true.
Come, the MelGees.
Everybody get it? Does everyone get it? Take a second.
G,
the MelGees.
MelG.
But actually, we're not quite putting the cart before the horse here, Phil, but we're putting a horse that should be behind another horse in front of that horse.
There's no right time for a MelG. Let's be honest.
That's true.
You can't. When can you? Well, here's the thing. I said that jokingly, but the reality is that I do not believe in creating objective lists to describe merit for artistic achievement. The whole idea of award ceremonies is nonsense. And so the only proper thing to do, of course, is an hour-long podcast awarding Mel Gibson with various.
It's true.
Yes. Various. I don't know. Awards. Awarding him with. Awarding him with awards. Damn it.
Phil, are you worried that your description of an award show isn't original? Because I think you can let yourself off the hook for that one.
I'm a perfecter.
So,
I'm a
folks,
perfectionist.
well played. So here's the deal. We're not going to do that just yet. In a moment. Momentarily. Presently we will. But first, as is our habit,
Okay.
on Mondays, and we will be brief because, let's be honest, today it's all about the MelGees. What did we see this past weekend? Phil.
In the past week.
Oh, yes, that's right. Past week.
I saw 4 movies last week.
Well done. What were they?
3 of them never before seen by Phil Eyes.
Well played.
Okay. Started the week with a little date movie with my wife. Saw Don John.
Awesome.
Yes,
Okay.
quite good. Quite
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Quite good film. It was one of those movies that afterwards we talked about it for a while afterwards.
Sure.
Which I wasn't sure how that movie was going to. I will point out that within the first 5 minutes of the movie, like, I didn't notice this. My wife totally noticed it. These 2 old ladies walked into the screening of the movie.
Yeah.
And about 15 minutes later, they walked out.
Awesome. That's amazing.
And this is what you get. Don't see movies that you don't know what they're about. I think that's a legit thing to say.
Yeah.
Don't see movies if you don't know what they're about. Like,
That's right.
at least on some level, unless you're like us and you'll see anything. Okay. A little film came out on Blu-ray this week, Andy Roth.
What
A
film
little
was that?
film, well, a little film by the name of The Little Mermaid.
Ooh. Lovely.
Much better than I remember.
Ah.
Much better than I remember.
Nice.
In fact, I feel like I've given it short shrift in past podcasts, and I'd like to make amends by saying out loud, Little Mermaid, better than I remember. I could say more about it, but I'm not going to. Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene.
Okay.
Holy crap, Andy Roth.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I don't want to recommend this movie to people because they'll be mad at me when it crushes them.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But Elizabeth Olsen must be watched.
She's, yes. I got the same feeling watching her in that movie that I got watching Jennifer Lawrence in Winter's Bone.
Yes. Although, by the time Winter's Bone came out, I already knew she'd been nominated. Whereas with this person, who I guess did not get nominated for anything, I didn't really have an opinion about her.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I think
But I know
I
what
saw
you
it.
mean.
I think
But I
saw
know
it
what
before,
you mean.
yeah.
But I know what you mean.
Sorry, go ahead, please.
No, that's good. What were you going to say?
Every year, folks who don't know this about me, Second Breakfast Nation, I spend Christmas with my mom's family in Amarillo, Texas. And on Christmas Day, we all go to a movie. This year, guys, Secret Life of Walter Mitty, please, maybe, huh? And we were at a store, just like a regular, but it had a lot of books, a lot of CDs, a lot of DVDs. And I was like, I don't really want to spend money and blah, blah, blah. And then I saw Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, right, on sale for $1.99. I never seen it. And I was like, I think I have to get this. And Ken, who we have had multiple times on our podcast as a guest, was like, no, you should totally get that. I mean, I would recommend it even if you were buying it for a higher price, but at $1.99, totally. And you know what? Ken was right. He was right.
I mean, the only thing I'll say, the only thing I'll say is I'm not sure when I'd be ready to watch it again. But
that's fair.
$2. I mean, I'd have gone to the movies for $2, and I'd have gone to. I mean,
Bingo.
Definitely a
Yes.
steal.
Yes.
And finally, I saw a film from this year, still in the theaters,
Ooh.
called Rush.
Ah, how was that?
Andy, it was excellent.
I am looking forward to seeing it.
Andy, it's an excellent film.
I'm looking forward to it.
It was not a great film, but it was an excellent film. And if we had more time, which we don't, I would like to do a one big thing just about Ron Howard. Maybe even do a whole podcast on Opie, because I feel like there's a lot that needs to be said.
I would agree with all of that stuff.
Those were my 4 movies, 3 of which I'd never seen before. Andy, go.
I saw 5 movies this week.
Okay.
4 of them, I'm not going to lie, all of those movies you saw were awesome. I mean, I believe you on Rush.
Okay.
I win, and I'll tell you why I win. Because 4 movies...
I saw Gravity, IMAX 3D.
No, actually.
Okay.
No, actually.
Go ahead.
I mean, that certainly contributed, but the reason I win... the one movie of 5 that I had already seen going into this week,
Mm-hmm.
The Magnificent Seven.
Okay. It's a great
You know what I
film.
mean? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It is just, here's the deal. Steve McQueen, how often does this happen? Steve McQueen is in full Steve McQueeniness. And
Yes.
he is not the coolest person in that movie.
Nope.
Yul Brynner, baby.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
In order of increasing quality, leaving Magnificent Seven out of it, of course, Runner. Not a good movie. Not a good movie. But I got a soft spot that you don't have for Justin Timberlake. I think he was very good. He was actually good.
That's good. That's nice. That's good.
And I'm just saying, the Coen brothers agree with me because they wouldn't have put him in their movie. You know.
Don't start with me on that.
I saw.
He's playing a singer. I think he'll pull it off.
Fair. It's fair. It's fair.
They cast Marlon Wayans in a movie, so I mean, it's not like.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
No, you're right.
I don't dislike Justin Timberlake. I want to make sure people understand. I don't dislike him.
Right.
At all. I just don't care about him.
Booby, I'm with you.
Okay, go ahead. Continue.
Prisoners.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what I have to say about that?
Woof. Woof.
Last week, Phil says to me, "Woof." You know what I have to say to that? Woof.
Yeah. Andy. Yeah.
I mean, woof.
We never got to have our conversation about that.
We will.
Okay.
Next, I saw Enough Said.
Oh.
There's just
so jealous of you.
There's just no way I could be objective.
Yeah.
I was utterly charmed.
Yep.
Here's how charmed. I forgot that I was watching Gandolfini's last performance. Like, I just forgot.
Yeah.
He's great. He is great. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus is great. And Catherine Keener has this wonderful little niche career going where she's like a total shrew, but is somehow still relatable. And she is just great. Great. Toni Collette using her actual accent.
No way!
I know! And whatever the dude's name is, who is Melissa McCarthy's husband. Ben something.
I like that guy, though.
Me too. And finally, in all the splendor of IMAX 3D, I did see Gravity. It did not change my life.
What?
But it was, hands down, the single best 3D movie I've ever seen.
Okay.
Both in terms of quality and in terms of its use of 3D. And
Sure.
in IMAX, I was expecting to basically be like heart pounding for the full 90-something minute runtime, and I wasn't that. And
Sure.
yet it was a good, and I'm not even kidding. And I saw like an evening performance that got out around 11:30. I didn't even like come close to being tired until almost 3 in the morning.
I believe that.
Like,
I believe that.
Intense. And those were my 5 movies.
Nice.
Yeah. Had a good week.
I mean, that's a good 5.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We totally...
I can't...
Go for it.
I can't get Martha, Marcy, and Mae Marlene out of my head.
Nor should you.
John Hawkes, people.
Oh my God.
John Hawkes.
Oh my God. Give him all of the Oscars.
Nobody cares about John Hawkes. I hope that changes.
Everybody's wrong, is the deal.
Yeah.
Everyone's wrong.
Yes.
Except for you and me. And Second Breakfast Nation.
Yeah. Yes.
Unless they don't care about John Hawkes, in which case we shall exile them.
I can't wait till you go back and watch Deadwood. The best part about watching Deadwood, aside from it being the greatest show ever, second greatest show ever, is that John Hawkes' character, I forget his name because he's so often referred to as the Jew. So like we were watching Martha, Marcy, Marlene, and Krista was like, and I was watching with 2 people, and someone was like, oh, he's from Deadwood, and I was like, right, and they were like, oh, he's the blank preacher, and I was like, no, he's the Jew, and then this other person goes, oh, he's the Jew on Deadwood, but like we were just having the conversation, but like there was not an anti-Semite in the room. It was just right. That's what he's called so often in the show.
Sure.
But anyways, okay. So I think. Listen, can we please? I'm tired of not doing the MelGees. Can we please begin our awards ceremony?
Phil, yes, we can.
Okay. That was like an overly long monologue, so it really was the beginning of an awards ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the MelGees. 16 categories, 16 winners, and, well, 17 if you include you, the listener. You are a winner when we talk about Mel Gibson.
You're a winner, you're not a category.
You do not have to have seen the movies to hear these awards ceremonies. We will do our best to be spoiler-free, and we are excited to talk to you about Mel Gibson, Project Melway, and the MelGees. Andy, how shall we begin?
Shall I give you the nominees and the first award? Or the name
Let's
of
do
the
it.
first award? Yes.
The first award is?
Best Collaboration.
Oh, I love it.
Folks, Mel Gibson's a charming dude. He's a charming dude. He elevates those around him. And so when you have someone who gives as good as he gets,
Yep.
he or she, it's a pretty exciting collaboration.
Yes.
The nominees for Best Collaboration with Mel Gibson are Mel and Richard Donner, the director of the Lethal Weapon movies, the director of Maverick.
And the director of Conspiracy Theory.
That's right. Thank you.
Also the director of Superman, but that's not relevant to this conversation.
It's awesome, though. Mel and Richard Donner. Mel and Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix. From?
Signs.
Great. They're brothers-in-law. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
Mel and RDJ, Robert Downey Jr. from Air America. Mel.
Wait, and Singing Detective.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
It's okay.
You're right.
It's all right.
But
It's all
sorry.
right. It's okay.
Mel and Jodie Foster from Maverick and The Beaver.
Mm-hmm.
And Mel and Danny Glover from the Lethal Weapon series and from an amazing little cameo in Maverick. Anything else? Am I missing anything?
Nope, you've got it.
Fantastic.
And the winner is Mel and Danny Glover from the Lethal Weapon series.
I mean, folks, there's no other,
I want to say that it was close for me on two of the other ones.
Okay.
I think Mel and Richard Donner, because if you've worked with this director and their collaboration obviously meant something to both of them, or else they wouldn't have made so many movies together.
Agreed.
And Richard Donner's the director behind the Lethal Weapon movies that made the performance that Mel and Danny Glover brought out.
Yes.
And Mel and Jodie Foster because I love that the two times that they collaborate are so radically different.
Yes.
And because we know that off screen it bled into such a special friendship for them that it gets exciting to think about.
Yep.
But really, in the end, there was no real competition here. Murtaugh and Riggs and Murtaugh, they are the duo, the dynamic duo.
It's the archetypal buddy movie relationship.
Yep.
It just is, you know?
Yep.
Certainly in action movies. I mean, I guess you can make a case for, I don't know, like Bob Hope and what's his name? Like Bob Hope and Fred Astaire, but what would going to Rio?
Fred and Ginger.
Right, Fred and Ginger,
Bob,
right?
Bob and I know what you're saying.
Right.
Bob Hope and who was it? Gene Kelly? No. It's Bob Hope and Bing Crosby.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
God,
wow, he just fell apart.
I know, right?
All right. Our next. Oh wait, I also want to say Mel and Robert Downey Jr. I forgot about Air America because it's two of his worst movies, Air America and Singing Detective, or at least I should say. Let me be fair. Those aren't two of his worst movies. Neither of them made the nominations for worst movie.
It's true.
Two of his most messy and maybe least successful at what they were trying to accomplish movies.
Agreed.
And yet, Mel and Robert Downey Jr.'s chemistry is amazing, and in fact, the most amazing scenes in The Singing Detective, to me, were the scenes between Mel Gibson and Robert Downey Jr. There was a couple scenes where it transcended the strangeness of the movie that couldn't quite figure itself out, and their word association game in Singing Detective was one of the truly awesome moments. And really, Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix in Signs as brothers, it was just, honestly, it was, when I look back on that, maybe the best part of the movie was just the way that the two of them were together.
Yes, agreed.
Two fantastic actors at the top of their form.
Indeed.
Best accent. A lot of people don't know this. Mel Gibson from Australia, eh?
Well, from America, but Australia.
Right.
I mean, come on. Yes.
A lot of people don't realize that he basically, when he first became an actor, he was Australian. He became an Australian actor and moved out here. And frankly, it took him time to hone his accent. He had to work on his American accent.
It's true.
Best accent. Edge of Darkness. Boston accent.
Wicked pisser.
What Women Want. Just plain old American accent.
Just plain old American accent, yeah.
Chicken Run. Also plain old American accent.
Yes.
The Beaver. An American accent plus a Cockney accent for the voice of the beaver.
It's true.
And We Were Soldiers. Southern Fried Mel Gibson.
Yes.
Andy?
The winner is Chicken Run.
Oh my gosh, I didn't see it coming.
But we chose them.
Oh.
You did.
Shh, Andy, it's a surprise. Here's the deal. It was the first time in his career where I felt his American accent, when upon repeated viewings, was completely and utterly flawless. And Andy and I are convinced this is because he didn't have to worry about any aspect of his performance but his voice.
Yes. Agreed.
But I love his character in We Were Soldiers and his accent in We Were Soldiers as well.
Yes. None of those. I love all of them. I absolutely do.
The only other thing I would say is his accent in Edge of Darkness, part of the reason I love it is I'm convinced that all my friends from Boston would be like, nobody talks like that. Like, they'd hate his accent. But I'm like, except for all the people in Boston that I know that talk just like that.
Just like that. Absolutely. Yes. Moving on. Surprise talent performance.
What a weird category.
Get this, folks. Dancing in What Women Want. He has that charming dance.
Yep.
His character work as the psychiatrist in The Singing Detective. Honestly, I believe not only that he was the psychiatrist, I kind of believed he wasn't even Mel Gibson.
It was, I know, yes.
And sweating in The Year of Living Dangerously.
Oh my God, he sweats so much in that movie.
As I said to Phil and to our director Keith Porcaro, he looks like a glazed donut in that movie. He is a Krispy Kreme right off the
But I'm convinced that it was like he caused himself to sweat by his own volition.
Oh, sure.
That's part of his commitment to the craft.
Yes, agreed.
And the winner of the surprise talent performance, surprising no one if you've listened to our podcasts, the dancing sequence from What Women Want. Because what an amazing performance. What a dancer Mel Gibson turned out to be.
Indeed.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
Nothing to add.
Good.
It's a fairly charming movie, and that is the most charming scene. I guess I had that to add.
Ladies and gentlemen, this category is our biggest regret for this category is that we couldn't put more movies on the title. This is a film category called Biggest Melgret. Biggest Melgret. Melgret. It's like regret, but with Mel. And it's got the G is capitalized.
I get it. I get it. God.
Biggest regret, biggest Melgret. This is our worst effing movie imaginable for Mel Gibson category. That's what this is. And here are the nominees. Without further ado.
Fire away.
Attack Force Z. Tim. Summer City.
Mate.
Nice.
Thank you.
Mrs. Sofel.
Blah.
I wish you... okay. The River.
I know.
River makes me so angry. Pocahontas.
I don't want to paint with all the colors of the wind. I just don't.
And finally, in the 7 movie strong category, $1 Million Hotel.
Oh, goodness.
Before we talk about these, Andy, what's the winner?
The winner. That turn-of-the-century unmasterpiece, Mrs. Sofel.
I wish that it was Mrs. Soffel so it could be rhymed with awful.
Mel Gibson, Matthew Modine, Diane Keaton. Shame on you.
Edward Herrmann.
Edward, shame on you.
One more person to shame.
Oh, god.
For shame.
Oh, it's the worst movie
Here's the deal.
ever.
Here's the deal. The first three movies we listed, Attack Force Z, Tim, and Summer City, there's a level to which you can't blame these movies. Summer City was his first movie. He wasn't even the star of it. It was just this little indie flick in Australia. It was a disaster, but it's not his fault. You can't blame it. It's the only reason we've ever heard of it is because after the fact he became famous.
Agreed. That's true.
Tim. Oh, Tim.
Yes.
I can't hate Tim. I can't hate it. And Attack Force Z is so bad, but again, it feels like a TV movie. Like it's not even
right.
But then Mrs. Soulful, The River, Pocahontas, $1 Million Hotel. You should have known better at this point.
Oh God, it's so. It hurts. Phil, it hurts.
The River was the movie that made me the angriest. It made me furious.
Yep.
But there were things in it that worked.
Yep.
And there were exactly 0 things that worked in Mrs. Sophie. It was so bad. It was so Andy. Do you remember? I want to remind you that the movie ended with a shootout on horse-drawn sleighs through a snow. A silent getaway.
Oh God.
A silent car chase.
Oh man.
How do we make this less exciting than it already was? Make it silent.
Oh my God. And the weird couple in the farmhouse that they stay with and that bizarre little boy. Oh my God. Oh. I'm having soulful flashbacks. It's so bad. Folks, do not do what we did. If you endeavor to see every Mel Gibson movie, skip Mrs. Sofa.
I'd say skip all the ones we just said, but really...
It's true.
But here's the deal. If you have to not see one movie this year...
do not see
Mrs. Sofa.
Well said. Said.
Andy, this leads us right to the next category.
It sure does. We're calling this the Blame Everyone Award. This is our award for bad chemistry, as charming and as chemistry inducing as Mr. Gibson is, clearly. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Okay? Yep. The nominees for Blame Everyone. Mrs. Soulful.
Yeah.
Attack Force Z. By the way, Sam Neill's in that one too. Shame on both of you. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Tina Turner, not doing it with him. In really any sense of that phrase. And The Bounty. They were insubordinate.
Nice. That was Andy's Anthony Hopkins. And if you think it doesn't sound anything like Anthony Hopkins, it sounds exactly like Anthony Hopkins in The Bounty. And the winner of the Blame Everyone Bad Chemistry Award goes to... Mrs. Soulful.
Of course
our first two-time winner. Our first double winner of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Soulful. Because when you have Diane Keaton, the queen of the modern romantic comedy, I don't mean rom-com, I don't mean cutesy-wootsy, I mean Annie Hall, Manhattan, and the one with Nicholson, actually, whatever it's called.
Something's Gotta Give?
Something's Gotta Give.
Yeah.
She's so charming.
Yes.
She's got such a gift, that Diane Keaton. I say.
Mm.
And then Father of the Bride with Steve Martin.
Yes. Any one of these movies would...
Mel Gibson. And we're going to get into Mel Gibson's chemistry with women in a minute. But anyone. Mel Gibson is a great collaborator. And then this movie, nothing. You don't believe it for a second.
Nothing works.
You don't believe she ever married the guy she married. You don't believe those kids are her kids. You don't believe Mel Gibson loves anybody. Matthew Modine, what is going on? Oh, what a disaster of characterness. F, next category.
It's
terrible.
True. That's right. You're up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an award called the Melevate Award. I'd almost call it the Pinstripe Award.
I love this. Please explain. I love your...
I developed a theory during Project Melway.
No.
Theory.
No.
I developed a theory
No.
during the Project Melway Award. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a time in the turn of the century, and I mean this past century, the turn of the millennium.
The non-boring turn of the century.
That's right. The turn of this past century, the turn of this millennium, when every single person who put on a Yankee uniform, put on the pinstripes, donned the pinstripes of Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, somehow magically just got better at whatever they did. If you were a crappy has-been pitcher and you went to the Yankees, you somehow lost a whole point on your ERA. I don't know how, but it's what happened.
Yep.
A whole integer. If you were an old washed-up hitter and you joined the Yankees, all of a sudden you became a better hitter.
20 points. Easy. 20 points on your average, at least. Yes.
All of a sudden we were worried about you. I don't get it. Anyways, this is the reality. Then, so we named this. This reminds me, Mel Gibson, when he would get with a woman romantically in one of his movies, all of a sudden all these women we never found attractive before became attractive to us. Doesn't mean they were ugly, by the way. Doesn't mean they were ugly.
Yeah.
In fact, quite the opposite.
Indeed.
But they never were quite what they were once they joined Mel Gibson, and Mel Gibson made us reevaluate these women altogether. Ladies and gentlemen, the MelEvate Award. The nominees for MelEvate go to Sissy Spacek in The River.
Indeed.
Sigourney Weaver in The Year of Living Dangerously.
Mm-hmm.
Piper Laurie in Tim. Helena Bonham Carter in Hamlet. And Helen Hunt in What Women Want. Andy?
The winner of the MelEvate Award, Sissy Spacek in The River.
Let's hear it, Sissy Spacek, everybody. Sissy Spacek!
This was one of the hardest ones for me.
One of the toughest categories of all time.
Yeah, before I was shown the light, my choice would have been Piper Laurie because she is the least empirically attractive in the movie. The only other movie I had seen her in, and recognized that is Piper Laurie, it was Carrie when she's the crazy mom.
Right.
And of course, I had also seen her in The Hustler, in which she is smoking hot.
Yes.
But
she's inexplicably attractive in this movie. And the only explanation? She's been MelEvated.
She's been MelEvated. And yet...
MelEvation.
And yet, I'm with you. I am with you now.
Here's the deal about Sissy Spacek for me.
Sissy Spacek. Yeah, go for it.
Here's the deal for me.
Please.
Is that, at least in the movies that I have seen her, in which I have seen her, she has not been someone that I have thought of as the point of her character being super sexy or attractive.
Sure.
I'm not saying she's ugly, because I don't think she is.
Right.
But the point of her character to me has never been that she was an attractive character, the romantic lead. There is a love scene between Sissy Spacek and Mel Gibson. That was one of the hottest things that I saw during our Project Melway endeavor.
Absolutely. Yes.
And made me look at Sissy Spacek completely differently for the first time ever.
Yes.
That being said, my original choice for this would have actually been Sigourney Weaver, because Sigourney Weaver was the one who defined this for me. I watched this movie, I watched The Year of Living Dangerously, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my god, not only is Sigourney Weaver hot in this movie, she's hot in everything she's ever been in. And I never realized it before.
Sure.
So it's not just that he MelEvated her for this one movie, he MelEvated her for the entirety of her career because of this movie.
Mel Gibson has strange and magical powers. He just
But
does.
I think that really was just for me. I think everyone else already knew Sigourney Weaver was attractive, and I just didn't realize it because of my own shortcomings.
It's fair. That's fair. And it's big of you to admit that.
Well, I'm a big man.
I know.
And I think Helen Hunt actually deserves mentioning. It's not that she's unattractive. She isn't. She's an attractive woman.
Yes.
But again, Mel Gibson makes her glow.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. And same with Helena Bonham Carter. Not an ugly woman by any stretch of the imagination.
None of these women are ugly, by the way.
No. Zero of these women.
Before we move on to the next category, I want to take a slight break and mention the fact that I think we made a mistake, and our director brought this up before, and I think that now is a good time to bring it up. That in the best collaboration category, we should have at least nominated Mel Gibson and Rene Russo, because they're teaming up in 2 different Lethal Weapon movies and Ransom
Yeah.
was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I bring that up after the Melevate Award, Andy, for one reason.
Please.
Because there's no way in all of God's creation that Mel could possibly Melevate Rene Russo.
No.
Because she was already one of the most beautiful people who ever lived. And I remember watching Lethal Weapon 3 and saying, we've now gotten to the point where Mel can't Melevate anybody because he's just being cast against people like
Rene Russo. Yes,
Rene
I remember
Russo.
you saying that. Yeah.
Who was a professional model before she became an actor.
I mean, of course she was.
Oh my God, she's gorgeous. Okay, Rene Russo, you get your own personal break during the MelGees. Congratulations, we're going to hear from you a little bit later.
And here we go.
Back to the awards.
This award, Crazy Like a Gibson.
Love
Folks, there are several things that Mel does just about as good or better than anybody else in Hollywood. And being crazy, or acting crazy. And I don't mean being crazy in real life. I mean like his character being crazy, or his character pretending to be crazy.
Yep.
He does them both real well. Here we go. First, for the first nominee, The Beaver. The man shoves his hand up a puppet and talks through it with a Cockney accent. And through that, he rejoins his family. Next, Tim. I mean, let's be honest. He's not really crazy in this movie, but it's just so darn weird.
It is. He's. And I want to be careful that we say this. We're not putting him acting crazy on this list because he played someone who's mentally retarded. That's not what we're doing. We are not equating mental retardation with insanity.
It's true.
There's something so odd about the performance.
Yes.
And it's not even a bad performance.
Nope.
It's just, I think what it is the whole movie's crazy.
You're right. You're right. You're so right, Phil.
When you see Mel in those short shorts, you'll know why the movie is on the list.
Ladies, I know that we're talking about like a young Mel Gibson in short shorts. It isn't worth it. It's just not. It's not.
Away.
Step away.
Step back.
If there are 2 movies for you to not see this year. Okay. Moving on. Next nominee, Lethal Weapon 1.
Nice.
Next nominee, Lethal Weapon 2.
That's right, we did that.
I mean, let's be honest, folks. I mean, what are you going to do? Singing Detective. Man, is he weird in that movie. And Conspiracy Theory, a movie about how he's actually crazy.
Yep.
Even when he might not be crazy, he's still actually crazy.
Yep.
Phil.
And the winner is The Beaver.
The Beaver.
The Beaver. Andy, say what you'd like about this.
Well, Walter is his character's name, and he talks like this through a beaver for 95% of the movie.
Really, what else is there to say?
I mean, yeah. And then, spoilers. To rid himself of the beaver persona.
Oh, wow. Okay, spoilers. Okay.
I'll just say this. He does more than just remove the puppet.
Yep.
I'll leave that there. There. Crazy. Not like a fox.
But here's the thing, and I want to make sure we're clear on this. Okay, so in Tim, the movie's crazy.
Yep.
In Singing Detective, his character is cartoonish and crazy.
Right. Yes.
In Conspiracy Theory, he's a crazy person!
Yes.
The Beaver, to me, is a wonderfully well done... It's not a good movie. But his performance, the portrayal of a depression that leads to total and utter mental imbalance...
Yes.
I think is pretty amazing.
I agree with you. I think it's one of his best performances.
And I want to comment on why Lethal Weapon 1 and Lethal Weapon 2 are both on here. Since does he play the same character? Of course he does.
Yep.
Lethal Weapon 1, you get the sense that Riggs is legitimately struggling with his sanity.
Mm-hmm.
Lethal Weapon 2, you actually see a Riggs who has, for the most part, regained his sanity. But first, acts crazy several times, and then towards the end of the movie, gets pretty close to losing his sanity again.
Yes.
So we have actually different kinds of crazy being portrayed by Mel Gibson.
Yes. Yes.
And I love Lethal Weapon 2 so much, and I love Riggs. Okay, continuing on. Then, do you have anything else you want to say about Crazy Like a Gibson?
I don't. I
Okay.
don't.
Okay, the next category.
No.
Category.
Nope.
Mel Gibson. Okay, well, I'm saying it anyway. categoire. The next category, Mel Gibson, action hero. Oh, I'm sorry, Mel Gibson, last action hero. All one word for some reason.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson, last action hero. This is a category about Mel Gibson as an action hero.
It's true.
And the nominees are Apocalypto, Lethal Weapon, Road Warrior, Gallipoli, Tequila Sunrise, The Patriot. Before I let you say the answer, I want to let you know that I am in protest that Lethal Weapon 2 did not make this list. Continue, Andy.
And the winner is Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. Folks, this movie has some of the... And here's how, you know it's good, because this is entirely on the strength of its driving scenes. And I do not love car stunts, which is weird, because I also am on record as loving the Fast and the Furious series. But here's the deal. These are the pinnacles, right? This and, like, the chase of a train in the French Connection. Like, all of these are, like, the pinnacle of the faculty of making a car chase and an action scene involving vehicles. And all of them fall short to what Mel Gibson and George Miller did in Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. I have seen this movie probably 15 times. I will see it 20 more before I die, even if that's tomorrow. And they are exhilarating every time. But let's talk about the other nominees, because what would you have...
This was a tough category.
It was. It absolutely was.
My original pick actually was The Patriot, which I think is a terrible film. A god-awful terrible film.
Sure.
But has one of the best action sequences I have ever seen, when he goes completely bug-nuts insane and kills a bunch of people to save Heath Ledger's life. It is a scene so breathtakingly well done that I will actually pause when I see it's playing. I will check to see if that scene is playing on TV before muttering obscenities and changing the channel. This was a hard category because Mel Gibson is an action hero. I actually don't agree with some of the nominees on this list. I'm surprised Tequila Sunrise made the list. I think Lethal Weapon 2 should have been on the list.
Sure.
It's got him dislocating his shoulder to get out of a straitjacket.
Yep.
And then later on dislocating his shoulder to get out of chains.
Mm-hmm.
And then pulling a freaking house down with his car.
Agreed.
I'm
not sure myself. You know what, Phil? I blame Keith.
I do too, and I blame Keith. I even though I'm not a huge fan of the movie, personally, I'm not sure how Braveheart got left off this list. It's an action movie. Its best success is in its plotting of whole action sequences. It is what he's good at.
I agree with you, but I'm actually more okay with it being left off than...
Okay.
Mostly because I'm still angry about Rob Roy. Go ahead.
Fair enough. I think that the anomaly on this list obviously is Apocalypto.
Yep.
Because he's not in it, but he directed it, but it is one huge action movie. And I actually think that that the three biggest like contenders here were Apocalypto, Lethal Weapon, and Road Warrior.
I agree with that.
Lethal Weapon is an action masterpiece. It is an action masterpiece.
Sure. Agreed.
Him hanging from the chains and then being electrocuted and then snapping that guy's neck with his legs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole last fight sequence, which was ridiculous and amazing.
Right, you want a shot at the title?
Oh my gosh. I want to watch Lethal Weapon again right now. And Apocalypto is eventually going to be re-examined by film people and treated with the respect it deserves as a great action film.
I agree with that.
But Road Warrior is the Road Warrior.
I mean, it is what it is.
Mad freaking Max, baby.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you want to say about this?
I mean, we'll talk about all of these movies coming up, at least as nominees and maybe as winners. So I'm good for now, actually. Moving on.
Go ahead.
The best male cry, folks. There is just no better male crier in Hollywood. He's better than most of the women too. He's just the best crier in Hollywood. He's amazing.
I really agree with you.
It's amazing. And try not to tear up as you listen to these nominees. Ransom. We Were Soldiers.
Oof.
Mm-hmm. Edge of Darkness.
The Beaver.
Lethal Weapon 2. And Lethal Weapon 1. That's right, both of them again, because, oh my goodness.
This was a tough category.
It was.
But there had to be a winner, as there always is.
It's true. Phil, what is that winner?
The winner is Edge of Darkness.
I can't. At the end of the day, this was not my pick, but I cannot dispute it. I just can't.
His daughter, in the first 5 minutes of the film, his daughter is shot to death right in front of him. And it's very clear from the first 10 minutes of the movie, because of how well the movie sets itself up, that the only thing in his life that he has is his daughter.
Yep.
And he holds her dying body and cries. And it is every cry that ever was, all in one.
It is just dead.
I think there are a lot of great options here, Andy. What would have been your pick? I think there's a lot of great options here.
I could not truly disagree with any of them.
Yeah.
But my pick, until it was explained to me, I mean, he is holding his dead daughter in his arms and sobbing over her body. You know. But until that was explained to me, my pick would have been Ransom, because when he just disintegrates on the balcony.
Yep.
After making the announcement that it's not going to be a ransom, it's going to be a bounty, and then it looks like as if it has not, like it immediately looks as if it has not worked.
Yes.
And I mean, you know,
and his wife is just.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Honestly, if we had to split any award on this entire list,
sure.
Honestly,
yeah.
I think Edge of Darkness and Ransom would be the split.
Yes. His
cry in We Were Soldiers is the manliest cry you will ever see. If you look up manly cry in the dictionary, you will find We Were Soldiers.
It's true. That's true.
Lethal Weapon 1, his cry right before he's about to kill himself. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Amazing stuff.
Yes.
That was when we realized there was something new on the horizon, and it was this Mel Gibson chap.
And Lethal Weapon 2.
And then Lethal Weapon 2, when he finds his girlfriend underwater.
Yes.
And then freaks out, and then the whole sequence thereafter. I mean, it's just... I don't remember the cry in The Beaver, to be honest with you.
It is
it could have just been the whole movie. One big cry.
Yeah, I mean, he's near tears for much of that movie. Let's just leave it at that. But it's the scene where he does what he does at the end. Okay,
that's fair, and it works because he can pull it off. And anybody, I know, if you want to see someone doing something very similar and not pulling it off, look at Carrie Elwes at the end of Saw.
Oh God! Oh, Wesley.
Oh,
we are men of action. Lies do not become us. Neither does that movie.
No. So Ransom and Edge of Darkness. Edge of Darkness gets the edge.
Of Darkness.
But it's a close call.
Agreed.
Okay. Best Melformance. This is literally the best performance of Mel Gibson's career.
It's true.
Understand that that's what we are saying here.
Yes.
The best Melformance. It's like performance, but at the beginning of it says Mel for Mel Gibson instead of per.
Oh.
That's Melformance. And the nominees for best.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And the nominees for best Melformance are The Year of Living Dangerously. Maverick. So excited! Our first showing of Maverick in the MelGees.
It's true.
My favorite Mel Gibson movie. Signs.
Yes.
Lethal Weapon.
Indeed.
Mad Max.
Mm-hmm.
The Beaver.
No.
And We Were Soldiers. Andy.
And the winner is Lethal Weapon.
Wow.
Folks, this is here's why. Here's why. Because this is a much more nuanced performance than any action movie deserves.
It's true.
And he the character arc he goes through is it's just astonishing. He plays totally crazy and reasonably sane. He plays the depths of despair and the heights of both happiness and a sense of belonging that is missing at the beginning of the movie. And he handles it all, ready for this, with aplomb.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
Yes. And
he does.
And the action. He is at the top of his game. He's at the top of his game. One note, I contributed the nomination of Mad Max, and while I absolutely definitively believe that the second Mad Max movie, The Road Warrior, is definitively the better movie, he shows more range in the first one, and it is.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
All of these performances are
all of them. I think Signs is in the final estimation a weak film, but it's not for the lack of this performance. It's really just because of the lackluster ending. It's the lackluster conclusion, but the acting in this film is great, and there's a lot of cool symbolism. Him and Joaquin Phoenix are fantastic. Maverick, to me, is just... his comic performance in Maverick is amazing, but in Lethal Weapon, he brings... Oh, and by the way, We Were Soldiers. My actual second pick after Lethal Weapon would have been We Were Soldiers. It really would have. Mm-hmm. The movie, especially the second time I saw it, is so high up on my list of Mel Gibson movies, but we'll get to that later.
Yep. Agreed.
Lethal Weapon is his best performance.
It's true. It's true.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yes, please, Andy.
The best non-Mel-formance male. This is the Best Actor award for all of those actors in Mel Gibson's movies who are not Mel Gibson.
Right.
Best non-Mel-formance male. Danny Glover in Lethal Weapons 2 and 3. That's right, folks. We conflated them. It's our world. You're just living in it.
That's right. That's right. Deal with it.
Sam Elliott in We Were Soldiers.
Great performance.
Yes. Joaquin Phoenix in Signs. Brendan Gleeson in Braveheart. The first time Braveheart has shown up, yes?
I believe so, yes.
Yes. And... Okay. Joe Pesci in Lethal Weapon 2.
This category was harder than it might seem.
Yeah.
The winner to me is an obvious winner. That being said, all the other performances we listed are phenomenal. Nevertheless,
not a dud in the bunch.
There can be only one.
It's true.
Which is ironic since Danny Glover wins for 2 movies. Danny Glover, Lethal Weapon 2, and Lethal Weapons 2 and 3. Andy, say more.
Well, so Lethal Weapon 2 has maybe the best acted scene in the entire series, and that is the one where they are, just kind of hanging out as friends do, while one of them is sitting on the toilet and there's a bomb underneath the toilet that's probably going to kill them both.
Yep.
And
Lethal Weapon 3. I asked that Lethal Weapon 3 be added to this nomination.
You did. Same.
Not as a separate, but the reason I did was because I think he still would have won anyway, but I actually wanted his performance in Lethal Weapon 3 to be recognized.
Okay.
The great thing about Lethal Weapon 3, which is not a great movie, but the great thing about Lethal Weapon 3 is we see the polarities reverse. Lethal Weapon 3, we see the character of Riggs, played by Mel Gibson, becoming a more stable character, and he is arguably the more stable of the two in the film. And Danny Glover's character, Roger Murtaugh, is clearly beginning to fall apart, and does fall apart in this movie. And there delves into his family life in a different way, and you get to see him and have his moments. I feel like in a lot of ways, Lethal Weapon 3 is the first movie that really allows us to see Murtaugh, because it's really hard not to see Murtaugh as Riggs' sidekick in the second one. Because Mel Gibson's character of Riggs was so exciting to American audiences.
That's right.
That what he does is what we're all like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
Yes.
If you were going to call a movie Lethal Weapon, and you were going to think about it, you'd think that the character of Riggs was the lethal weapon.
Yes.
See what I'm saying?
Yes.
Which is unfair because the movie is not actually designed as a vehicle only for Riggs. Murtaugh's character is fantastic.
Yeah.
but he really gets to stretch it out in Lethal Weapon 3.
It's true.
So I love Danny Glover in these movies. Never to be paralleled before or since in his career. Danny Glover does a great job in these movies.
Yeah, well, except, of course, for his star turn in Predator 2. Oh, boy. Yeah, and, of course, going back to Lethal Weapon 2, I mean, the bad guys are racist South Africans. So, I mean, so clearly, they're going to give... Clearly, Danny Glover's going to get a little stuff that's like, as an actor, you just want to chew on, you know?
What was your second place for this?
My second place for this, probably Sam Elliott in We Were Soldiers.
Okay. Great performance.
But maybe Joe Pesci in Lethal Weapon 2.
For me, it's Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
It's the most memorable performance almost of his entire of almost of all of Mel Gibson's filmography.
Sure.
It's such a phenomenal character.
Yes. As opposed to a caricature, which if you want to know the difference, watch Lethal Weapon 2 and then watch Joe Pesci.
Lethal Weapon 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Certainly 4.
And I would say Sam Elliott is fantastic in We Were Soldiers. He takes a character, a character that could have just been like insert character here.
Agreed.
And made him someone that really he elevated it. He almost elevated it. Sam Elliott he Elliott-evated it. Sam Elliott is a character actor, another character actor who, again, like, he's never going to be that big of a deal, but he matters to some of us.
Yeah.
In the words of Sean Penn and I Am Sam, it matters to me.
Well done.
That's all.
Well done there.
And ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the best non-Mel performance in the female categories. The best female non-Mel Gibson performance.
As opposed to
not that hard.
Female Mel Gibson performance. I'm sorry.
Linda Hunt in The Year of Living Dangerously.
Yep.
Sigourney Weaver in The Year of Living Dangerously.
Phil, that was a good movie for female performances.
It really was. Good movie for performances all around.
Agreed.
Peter Ware knows what he's doing.
You're not wrong.
Helen Hunt in What Women Want. Renee Russo in Ransom.
Mm-hmm.
And Jodie Foster in Maverick.
So lovely. Yes.
What a great category.
Oh, yeah. Totally. And the winner is Linda Hunt in The Year of Living Dangerously.
Yep, I know she won an Oscar for this performance, guys, and I know she's a woman playing a man, and that seems like a cheat. But she's a woman, and she's amazing in this movie.
She is so amazing in this movie. She is. If you only know Linda Hunt as the diminutive principal in Kindergarten Cop, or the diminutive saloon owner in Silverado, know that she is really adept at playing all sorts of diminutive characters.
Yep. No, her diminutive character portfolio is vast and arrayed.
It's true. This
was a very hard category for me, Andy. A very difficult category.
Say more.
If you had told me it was Sigourney Weaver, well, actually, I don't think that would have been the right pick. I think it was a great performance.
Yep.
But it gets its own special. I'm surprised that Sigourney Weaver has not won anything so far because it was a very special performance. Mm-hmm. Helen Hunt in What Women Want. What Women Want is not a very good movie, but true. She's so good in it. She injects this character with character.
Yeah.
I don't mean it's a character. I mean she has character.
Yes.
And she communicates it in this movie so beautifully.
Yes. Renee Russo in Ransom.
Yes.
Just devastating. She is called upon to match Mel Gibson at the absolute extremes of emotion, and she goes with him step for step.
Yes. Agreed.
Yes. And you since you love it so much, not that I don't, but it's important.
Jodie Foster in a comedy?
Yes.
Try thinking of Jodie Foster and not thinking of her being way too serious in everything. She's the most serious person in the history of the world. She is so funny, so goofy, so magnetic, so vulnerable and evil and lovely and fantastic and not evil but crafty.
Yes.
Sly.
Like a fox. Yes.
And yet has moments of sheer nonsense in Maverick. Her performance is a revelation to me, and it was really hard for me not to pick this, but Linda Hunt gets it, and
but
I think it makes.
That's how good Linda Hunt is, folks.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, that's the nature of the MelGees.
Yeah, you know what? That's right. That's right. Oh, I'm not gonna watch Year of Living Dangerously again because it's not quite a good enough movie for me to own. But I feel like I want to watch like Kindergarten Cop with one eye and Silverado with the other eye.
Yep.
Moving on.
I love that you just said Kindergarten Cop was a better movie than The Year of Living Dangerously. Okay, continue.
Oh, it is not. It is not. I don't own it either. But it is.
Right, I know what you mean.
It is more immediately watchable. Let me put it that way.
I agree.
Best comedy. What Women Want. Maverick. Chicken Run. Bird on a Wire. Lethal Weapon 4. That last one's a joke, except not really, except kind of, except not.
I think it's on the list because if you had just added Air America, it just would have just listed all the comedies that Mel Gibson's ever been in. And Bird on a Wire is already on there, so I mean, I think that's how we do it.
Sure.
But the winner is Maverick.
They're just this, if you will permit me. This was not a difficult category.
No. Not just because none of these movies are really that great. I mean, Chicken Run is really good.
Yes, agreed.
But because Maverick is sublime.
Yes, it is a marvelous film.
Sublime. It is below line. That is how good it is. All right. Best comedy, Maverick, not much to say, except really, let me put it this way. Maverick's nominated for more things coming up. That's how much we love this movie.
It's true.
Check it out.
Indeed.
Check it out. Okay.
Thanks, Cousin Joey.
Cut it out. Okay. Best director. Richard Donner. Wait, can I stop for a second?
Yes.
Before we name best director. When we talked about best non-Melformance female, I know we can only put so many people on there. I'd like to give a shout out, an honorable mention to Julia Roberts in Conspiracy Theory. Conspiracy Theory is not a good movie.
Right.
But it's not because of Julia Roberts.
Agreed. That's true.
I think Julia Roberts is so beautiful and so popular and such a star that her actual ability to be just an amazing actor gets sort of subsumed by the reality of her gorgeousness.
Excellent word and appropriately used. I agree with you.
Thank you. Best director, Richard Donner for Lethal Weapon.
Indeed.
Richard Donner for Maverick. That's right.
Indeed.
Mel Gibson for Apocalypto.
Mm-hmm.
Randall Wallace for We Were Soldiers. George Miller for The Road Warrior, a.k.a. Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter Ware, Keith spelled it wrong, The Year of Living Dangerously.
Keith, I was going to mention it.
By the way, what a category.
I know.
Boom!
Folks, the winner of Best Director, Mel Gibson for Apocalypto.
You did not see that coming.
Here's the deal. That is not a pity win, guys. That's not we got to give it to Mel Gibson because it's the MelGees. No. This is a this is not a complex movie necessarily. It is what one thing happens, but it does that one thing so well that it elevates it. He has elevated the entire movie.
It is a phenomenal. I love the introduction into the lexicon of the term "melevate." It is just. I mean, it's malicious. Malicious. It's.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, okay.
I think it's caramel.
I love it. Good one. I like that.
Thank you.
This was a tough category. It really was. It really was.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We'll leave it at that. Mel Gibson wins, though. Apocalypto. Best director. The best director of any Mel Gibson movie was actually Mel Gibson himself. It is also, incidentally, a movie in which he's not acting.
Yes.
He does not direct himself in this picture, in this talking picture.
Yes.
All right. And now it's time for Best Picture.
Best Picture.
This, by the way, is not our last category. It's our second to last.
It's true. Am I doing the nominations? I've already forgotten. I'm doing the nominations, right?
You are.
Okay. Best Picture. The Road Warrior. Lethal Weapon. Maverick. We Were Soldiers. The Year of Living Dangerously. And Apocalypto. Phil, tell us.
This is huge.
It is. It's big.
The best picture that Mel Gibson ever appeared in, ladies and gentlemen. Lethal Weapon.
I mean, it's just...
It, again, for me, was a tough call, believe it or not.
Sure.
But because we don't generally do bests, we do favorites.
That you're right.
And if we had to do favorite picture... Well, how about this? Here's what I like to say. Andy, what's your favorite Mel Gibson movie?
Probably The Road Warrior. But it's a much closer call than it used to be.
Okay. Mine is probably Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
With a close second, probably to Lethal Weapon 2.
Sure.
I think mainly because the poster art for Lethal Weapon 2 was in color, and in Lethal Weapon it was in black and white, and that always bothered me. Nah, that's the kind of things you think of when you're a child. Sure. No, I think it's Maverick, but realistically the best Mel Gibson movie, Lethal Weapon. It is a genre-defining film.
Yes. It is.
Road Warrior is such a fun movie.
Yes.
But it's so campy and not perfect in its own way. It's wonderful, but not perfect. Lethal Weapon might be a perfect movie.
I agree. I would put it, in terms of all-time action movies, I would put it only behind Die Hard. And It is not a wide gulf. There is a much larger gap between 2 and 3 than there is between 1 and 2. And here's
between 2 and 3. Number 3 is Under Siege, right? With it's Steven Seagal. That's number 3.
Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, with Eric
Nice.
Bogosian as the bad guy.
Yep. On the train.
So yeah. And the one thing that Die Hard doesn't have, sort of, but not to the extent that Lethal Weapon does. It's a buddy film.
Yep.
And it came after such amazing buddy films as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, or 48 Hours, which is a closer analog, certainly.
Yep.
But I mean, the argument can be made, I guess, for Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, but the buddy relationship, what people mean today when they say that, they mean Lethal Weapon.
They're just talking about Lethal Weapon. They just don't know it necessarily.
That's right. Even if they don't know it, they're talking about Lethal Weapon. That's right. It is. I mean, you said it. I think it is functionally a perfect movie.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. And finally, the definitive Mel Gibson performance. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a different category than the best Mel Gibson performance.
Explain how, Phil.
Well, I think the best is this is the best job he's ever done.
Yeah.
But I think definitive is there are archetypes that he falls into, character types that Mel Gibson plays. And I think we tried to list the movies that fit that category the best. The most Mel, the most malicious, the most Gibsplosive, the most Mel Gibson-y, the thing that makes Mel Gibson Mel Gibson.
Yes.
Like, if you were going to see that scene in Being John Malkovich where John Malkovich goes into John Malkovich's own head and everyone's going Malkovich. If Mel Gibson was going to go into his own head, what movie would be playing? This is the movie.
Well said.
Thank you. And the nominees for definitive Mel Gibson performance are Lethal Weapon, Payback, Maverick, Road Warrior, Braveheart, and Edge of Darkness. I want to just point out that in the best Mel performance category, Year of Living Dangerously was listed, as was Signs, as was Mad Max, as was The Beaver, as was We Were Soldiers. We have a whole different slate here.
It's true. That's true.
Braveheart, Edge of Darkness, and Payback, and Road Warrior are all on this list.
It's true.
And the winner is, Andy?
The winner for the definitive Mel Gibson performance, Lethal Weapon.
It's a Lethal Weapon sweep, ladies and gentlemen, of all the top categories.
I mean, look, it is, as we alluded to it earlier, but he does everything that Mel Gibson does in this movie. You can look at pretty much anything he does, with one exception that I do want to talk about. Everything.
Edge of Darkness, you see him sorrowful and lost and depressed. You get that at the beginning of Lethal Weapon.
Yes.
Braveheart, you get the righteous anger. And you get that in Lethal Weapon, I mean, basically throughout the whole movie, but really when he's been kidnapped by the heroin dealers and he's talking to them, you get that whole thing. The way he dispatches the torturer is all that's where Braveheart comes from. Road Warrior, you get the silent Mel. And you see Mel Gibson the whole scene where he's doing the shooting at the shooting range where they're not talking.
Yes.
Oh man, and him with his dog.
Yes.
Maverick is the comic performance, and there's such great comedy.
There's such great comedy in Lethal Weapon.
The Christmas tree scene.
Yes.
And then Payback is sadistic Mel, and you get sadistic Mel when he's on top of the building, and he handcuffs himself to that guy.
That's right.
The sadistic Mel who just doesn't give a crap.
Yes, I do want to highlight Payback and actually Edge of Darkness as well, because if he has another 30 years, say, I don't know that he does, if he has another 30 years of acting in him, and he only gets roles like he's getting now, this will have a different, by the time that he retires or passes away, this will have a different answer, because he has, he is far more than even you would have thought in when Lethal Weapon came out, and that is that's a fairly dark movie, certainly for an 80s action comedy. It goes some really dark places. It has nothing on where he is now in Edge of Darkness, in The Beaver, in Payback, in
Get the Gringo.
And even Get the Gringo, that's right.
So now he's playing a villain in the next two movies he's in. Now both of them are pretty much cheesy exploitation films, but he's playing the villain in the next two movies.
Yes.
And if that's any indication of the direction of his career, he may now only ever play villains and anti-heroes.
Yes. So that was those were inclusive, not just because, and I agree with what you said, Phil. Like, you can find all elements of all of these performances in Lethal Weapon because it is the definitive Mel Gibson performance. But he is sort of shading towards those performances like those two, and I think that's fascinating. I'm not even getting into should he not, does it make me sad, does it not, whatever. It's something I find absolutely fascinating, and even at the end of Project Melway, this is how excited I am to see where he goes next. Yeah. Yes. Phil, it's again, we're coming back with it next week, but like this is the end. This is the functional ceremonial end of Project Melway. I mean, I think we did good work here. I do too. Listen, here's the deal, and this is the truth. We watched every single Mel Gibson movie ever made. No one can touch us. That's right. Like, there's nothing you can say to me now. I've seen every Mel Gibson movie. What do you got? What do you got? Nothing. You can't say anything to me. Yeah. What did you do today? Not watch every Mel Gibson movie. Nope. I just don't even... You people don't know. You don't know. You don't know. It's true. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, Project Melway comes to a tentative close. Mm-hmm. I will say, though, that we are constantly on the lookout for our next project. Ooh, I love it. Say more. Well, I think we're going to take a healthy little break here. And maybe when we come back, we will have readjusted. Maybe we'll do once every other week with somebody. Maybe we'll do it exactly the way we did it. I doubt it. Sure. Mel Gibson's career is so specific in that he was almost always the star from the very beginning, and he hasn't made just a jolly buttload of movies. There's some people, it's like, oh, I was thinking maybe we could follow them, and then you look and they've made like 97 movies already, and they've been alive for a minute. You're like, what? Like, their Zygote was starring in movies, and it's like, and there's all these people who've worked their way up, the old, and so to have an old-fashioned star like Mel Gibson, it's going to be hard to find someone whose career has anything. Plus, he's just inherently fascinating. Yes.
And his name comes with so much baggage.
Yep.
So, are we going to pick another actor? Will it be a female actor, also known as an actress? I don't like that term. Could it be a director? Could it be someone who works the cinematograph? There's so many options. So I think, I guess I'm just saying, we're on the lookout. We have our eyes open. We have a couple of ideas. I'm not going to lie to you. We have a couple of ideas.
It's true.
We have some thoughts.
But folks, if you have thoughts and you would like to share those thoughts with us, you should email us at secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com.
Do you have a nominee for our next project? That's the question.
Are you asking me or Second Breakfast Nation?
No, I'm asking Second Breakfast Nation.
Yes. Folks.
I wouldn't dare ask you because that would be a spoiler for everyone.
That's right. So, seriously, guys, you can be a part of Second Breakfast history.
The magic is back.
Again.
Or will be.
It's true. The magic, for now, the magic is going away.
Yes.
For now, the magic is going away. Not the normal magic, because, I mean, we're Second Breakfast.
This weekend, though, Machete kills.
Machete kills. I'm basically only seeing it because I love how Phil says machete.
That's just how the characters say it in the movie.
It makes me so happy. Hey, man, get off of my cloud. I love it.
Andy, get out of my dreams. Get into my car.
Done deal. Folks,
Okay.
This, as Phil said, this is the end for now of Project Melway. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. And in this case, you might have enjoyed it as much as we have.
Might have enjoyed it as much because you didn't have to suffer through Mrs. Sofel.
Right, or Attack Force Z, or Tim, or Summer
Or
City.
the river.
Oh, the river.
The river just makes me angry. It makes me so angry.
So angry. Folks, this is another Second Breakfast podcast. We will see you again later this week. We're doing TV dinner this Friday. Very excited about that. Talking about TV, even though we don't really talk about movies. What are you going to do? When you think you have the answers, we change the questions.
That's right. You can't see me. My time is now.
With
that, Second Breakfast.
I'm Andy Roth, and that is Phil Duvall. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Adieu.
The most important meal of the day, second